Oh, hello, everyone. I'm just drinking some green tea here. I read online it's supposed to be a really good health thing to drink green tea. Speaking of good health, physical health, I want to talk today a bit about spiritual health. So, yesterday, the last video, I talked a bit about the school of prayer, using this time to enter into the school of prayer. And so, I want to spend the next number of videos entering into that school for growing in our spiritual health and learning about not just what is prayer, but the different forms, the different expressions, and the different methods of prayer. So forms, expressions, and methods. I'm going to be unpacking those over the next few days. So today I want to talk about the different forms of prayer, or another way to think about it is the different elements or types of prayer. And the Catechism talks about 5 different forms of prayer in the Catechism. But I'm going to narrow those down to 4, mostly because they make a distinction between 2 that I don't understand the distinction of. So it's really my lack of understanding that I'm just going to talk about 4 expressions of prayer, forms of prayer, forms of prayer. These forms of prayer are praise, or adoration, thanksgiving, petition, and intercession. So praise, thanksgiving, intercession, petition, and intercession. So I'm going to talk about what are those, and so talk a little bit about the different ways they're in our public prayers that we have, but then talk about the importance of bringing those into our private prayers. So first of all, the first form of prayer is adoration and praise, I'll call it. The Catechism makes a distinction between adoration and praise, and I don't really understand the difference, so those are the 2 I'm combining into one. Basically, praise of God is basically praising and thanking God for who he is. This idea that God is God and I am not. So in that humility, we simply offer praise to God for who he is, for being God. Saying to God, God, you are great because you are God. You are all powerful, almighty. And there's something in me, because we're limited, because we're finite, there's something in us that longs to give adoration and praise to this God who is greater than us, something very deep in who we are, to be in awe of this, of God. We have this in the prayer that Jesus taught us when the disciples asked him how to pray. He opens it with, when you pray, say, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. That holy, blessed, praise to the name of God. So that's praise or adoration. The second one is thanksgiving to God. How thanksgiving is different is thanksgiving is thanking God for something, for things, where praise is giving praise to God simply for who he is, or thanking God for who he is. Thanksgiving is giving thanks to God for things, for blessings in our life. We thank God for our loved ones, our family members. We thank God for helping us through something difficult in our life. We thank God for whatever it is, the gifts he gives us, the different modes that he expresses himself to us in this world. We can give thanks to God for those things. So praise, thanksgiving. Thirdly is the prayer of intercession. Or excuse me, not intercession, that's the last one. Petition. Petition goes by many names, but the Catechism talks about petition, to ask, to beseech, to plead, to invoke, to entreat, to cry out. Essentially, petition is when we ask God for something, asking God to help us, to give us something, asking God to help us through something. That cry out to God when we're struggling is what we would call petition, that struggle in prayer. So different ways, as I said, to ask, to beseech, to plead, to invoke, to entreat, to cry out. It's this struggle in prayer when we ask God for help. And that takes many and different forms of God. And even that petition can include asking God for forgiveness, for mercy. Have mercy on us, Lord, for we have sinned. And so in our liturgical prayer, this especially comes out in our prayer of mercy. Lord, have mercy on us. We start with praise to God and thanksgiving. We say, when outside of the Lenten season, we sing the Gloria. We praise you, we bless you, we adore you. That's praise. And we give thanks to God. And then we say, but before that, we say, Lord, have mercy. We ask God for something. And we ask God for help for ourselves. So the fourth type of prayer is similar but different, what we would call intercession. And intercession is very closely related to petition, but the difference being, petition being we ask God for something for ourselves, and intercession being we ask God, we pray on behalf of others, asking God for something for someone else, on behalf of someone else. We pray for others and asking God to intervene into their life. So it's very closely related to petition, but petition being we ask God for help for ourselves, intercession, we intercede on someone's behalf, we ask them for help. So especially in Mass, this takes part in what we call the prayers of the faithful, or the petitions, or the universal prayer, or the intercessions. It goes by many names. But where we do a combination of petitioning, asking God for ourselves, we pray for ourselves, the church, but also on behalf of others, on the world. So these four modes of prayer, these four forms of prayer, praising God, praising God for who he is, thanksgiving, thanking God for who he is, petition, asking God for something, and intercession, praying for others. I think these four elements of prayer, it's important for us to not only recognize how they take part in our Mass as we go through when we pray our prayers together as church. You can identify what are those different points where we use those different forms of prayer. But I think it's important as we continue to grow and we're in this school of prayer in our own personal prayer life, noting and asking ourselves, how much do I incorporate these different modes of prayer? Because sometimes it can happen that we get stuck in just one or two of these particular forms of prayer, and we don't include all the forms of prayer. And I think that's kind of like not having a balanced spiritual diet, when we're supposed to eat certain things in our physical diet, but when we just eat all of one thing all the time, we don't have a healthy balance in life. If I just eat cheesecake all the time, of course that's not healthy. But even of a good thing, if I just eat, cabbage all the time, I don't know, and I don't eat anything else, it might not be the most healthy diet. There's probably a cabbage diet out there that some people argue otherwise. But point being that part of a balanced diet has this diversity of diets that are included. So in our own personal prayer life, do we just say some words of praise to God, but then kind of struggle through everything and never ask him for help? Well, that's not the most healthiest balance of prayer. Or on the other extreme, are we always asking God for help? God, help me with this. God, help me with that. But we never take time just to praise him or thank him and adore him. And so it's something as we enter into the school of prayer to consider, what is that balance of prayer? Do we incorporate all these different expressions, these balances, these forms of prayer in our life to enter into a more healthy prayer life? So let us continue to drink to a healthy diet of prayer, not just a healthy physical diet, but a spiritual diet of prayer, these different modes of prayer, as we continue forth in this time of prayer together and go in the school of prayer together. Thanks and God bless. And a reminder, announcement, speaking of prayer, there will be a special time of prayer with the Pope this Friday at noon. Where he'll be praying for the whole world in a particular way, and that will be live streamed at noon on the Vatican website on this Friday. Peace be with you, and God bless. Oh no.